Hey guys, welcome back to the Book and Beverage review, where today we will be reviewing a very interesting book, not a typical book that I usually review, but one that I really enjoyed lately. So I draw, but I'm not a very good artist, but I can definitely appreciate great work. And when I was starting to learn how to draw a little bit better, I found a YouTube series by David Finch. He's actually a comic book artist that worked with DC quite a bit, and I've said this on my Twitter. If you've actually done the cover art for a Batman comic, you've made it, right? So David Finch is one of my favorite comic artists out there right now, or illustrators in general, and he has his live program which he does. It's called Monday Night Draw, where he is usually sketching or sketching with another amazing artist in the industry, and they talk about what they're using, tips, tricks, interesting stories. It's just a really fun series that I haven't seen all of his Monday Night Draws, but I do enjoy them when I'm able to catch them. And we have our signed copy here. So I recently went to Phoenix Fan Fusion, as you guys know, and I was really enjoying it. One of the reasons why I went there is I did want to see some really interesting comic book artists, and David Finch was definitely on the top of the list. I got to meet him, and he was super nice. His work is exceptional in person. He was selling some of his originals, some of which went for over $10,000, which is for a good reason, and we're going to talk about that in today's episode. So there are a lot of videos that go through each and every single page and talk about them on YouTube. These videos are done by Comics Are Dope, amongst others, and I'll link them down below. If you want to see every image in here, I recommend that, because that's not something we're going to be doing today. What I wanted to do today is I wanted to just talk about the images that I liked the most. And why I thought this book was such an exceptional work and a great example of human anatomy drawn in a very stylistic way. And also, we will be trying this Death Wish coffee. It's, again, the world's strongest coffee. I don't know if it's the 300 milligrams of caffeine per serving like the other instant coffee I tried was, but this was the blue and blueberry vanilla flavored coffee, and I've been super excited to try this one. And I will say, I've already made the coffee. I put it in my normal coffee maker, and it made the whole house smell like a Dunkin' Donuts. Like, you walk in and you smell like blueberry muffins, you smell coffee. It was incredible. Like, just for the scent alone and how good this smells, I mean, this is definitely one of like a top tier coffee. The price is really high on this one. This was actually $18 for 12 ounces of ground coffee. As far as I can tell, it smells really good, so it might be worth it, because I know that the other coffee was really good. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's sip some coffee and get into a book. I wanted a purple straw because I wanted it to match the cover of this Monday Night Draw. And traditionally people do like blue for Batman, you know, like blue, lighter blue accents. I really love that it was purple. So I put the Death Wish coffee in some ice, and so we're gonna try it just cold. That is so good! Oh my goodness. That tastes like a blueberry muffin in the best of ways. Wow. That's super flavorful. And it tastes like really good coffee. Woo! Okay, I don't know. I knew the other Death Wish stuff was good, so I was expecting it to be good, but you know, there's always room for something terrible to happen in a company's product line. That is super good. So I'm just gonna take some unsweetened oat milk and put some in there, because I want to be able to taste the coffee, and I'm not really much for sugar lately, so yep. This is such a good combination. I'm glad I bought the oat milk. That's a damn good drink. Moving on, let's talk about this book. So like on the cover, I was wondering if it was Batman, and it is. Like, you can see there's all these variations of Batman here. That's just a really cool revisioning of Batman. He's got a lot of scars on him, and I love this so much. And this pose on what I think is a gargoyle. So everybody knows that David Finch is a master anatomist, but he's also a master with light and shadow. And for something like Batman, who kind of stays in the shadows and it's just the glint of his eyes or a reflection or sheen off of his cape that makes him visible, it's really critical you have an artist who can really play up those features. The reason why I think he was so successful with DC Comics and drawing Batman, I think it's because he is just so good at that. He is just so good at making the light really pop. My favorite image of this whole book is the Penguin. Now, I felt like his monocle looked a bit washed out, but what I will say is that this color choice of skin is so interesting. It's so unique. It's got this like this reddish, orange, purpley brown. It just looks straight demonic, right? And with a lot of Batman villains, you have someone like the Riddler, who is definitely a like a curious sort of villain. The Joker's obviously a psychopath, and he's wild and, you know, is all about his own amusement. I mean, and then you have other ones, and you can kind of get a sense of what they're about. The Penguin, I knew he was about greed, but I just never really had a strong feeling for him as a villain. Like, his identity wasn't really, it didn't really stick with me. And I think the thing is, now seeing this image, I get a sense of like he has this very like sadistic, likes to see people tortured or in pain or something demonic vibe. And I don't know if that's what the artist was going for, right? Maybe David Finch wasn't going for that, but I can say that it gives the Penguin so much more character that the choice of color palette is just like, it is genius. You know, a lot of artists have said that their color palette and choices are instinct, like instinctual. I don't know. That was one question that I did come around and I wanted to ask him, but he was very busy. David Finch was very busy during the entirety of Phoenix Fan Fusion, and I just didn't want to bother him, and I was kind of embarrassed, so I scurried off, as silly as that sounds. But I did want to ask him what inspires his color palette. Is it instinct? Does he have a certain idea behind it? You know, he's a very thoughtful artist, and he certainly makes very cool artistry, but I don't know, he seems to really think through his work. So I'll show here. Two-Face looks really good. I love what he did with his hair. I thought it gave this image a lot of character, but the Scarecrow, that light and shadow and that play on the sheen of the Scarecrow's skin and costume, it's so good. It's just amazing. So now this image on page 8, it's one of Batman, and obviously a car's lights, or it's the spotlight is shining on him. This is, again, another example of David Finch being able to really capture the feeling, and sort of like you yourself feel kind of blinded, just like Batman feels when he's getting hit by this light. This is just such good work. This man makes this with some pencils, some pens, and some markers. I don't even think there's marker in here. It's insane. So I wanted to say something about this Harley Quinn on 11. I really enjoyed the way he drew her boots. I know that seems kind of silly, but it definitely plays up the Harlequin aspect of her costume. The only thing is, sometimes I do feel this thing with, maybe it's an aesthetic choice, sometimes the images in comic books can look a little stiff, and that's maybe because it just kind of looks better, it pops a little more. In this particular one, she does look particularly a little stiff. Like, I don't feel like she's moving. It looks a little, I do enjoy the splatter, the water splatter in the background. I thought that was a beautiful choice. But yeah, sometimes that does happen, even though, as you see, his figures are very, like, he likes to draw women with that nice S shape and that curve to them, and it just makes the female figure look very graceful. That's another reason why I feel like his Wonder Woman is so strong. Not visually as in she has strong arms, but she's so strong as in he carried Wonder Woman very beautifully, is because he does sort of a minimalist thing going on with the face. Like, I feel like her features are very beautiful, but at the same time, when he draws her body, he'll do things that really play up her muscles. And being as good as he is at anatomy, I think that's a really key aspect to Wonder Woman, making her beautiful and yet look super ripped and making her look like she's straight up from another planet. So this image on page 15, I don't really know what this is. I don't know if it's an original work, but I just wanted to say how amazing it was that he did all this detail in the bark and also in the root work going on the arms and on the feet, and that I still am looking at this a few days later and I'm still amazed at the detail. Even every leaf that he drew, he took an enormous amount of there's just so much time and energy put to making this beautiful, and I appreciate it so much. The detail is just gorgeous. Even if you guys look on the head of this sort of imp or woodland beast, look at the fuzz on the top of his head as almost to suggest hair. That's just wild. Super wild. So, as I'm passing through some of the Wolverines, I actually bought a Wolverine poster, but I lost it. At some point during my trip, I had lost it, and I don't know where it is. So, hopefully, whoever found it, you guys are enjoying it as much as I did. It was only $30, but I will have to maybe buy one online if he has an online store. It's just kind of sad. I really love this Wolverine. I love the color choice of the paper. I love the sheen on it. I love the muscle definition. And really just it's interesting because in David Finch's suits, so like you have things like the bat suit or Wolverine's suit, and different artists tend to put a different amount of definition on the muscles, right? Because there's always this choice on whether they're going to make the fabric ripple or if the fabric is going to stand out more than the muscles. If you think of that old classic bright yellow Wolverine that, you just see, basic shapes and not this immense amount of detail, because this looks like more of like a very tight spandex sort of thing. And yet it looks great, Interesting. It seems as though their suits are very, like, paper thin. Beautiful drawing of Black Panther and the actor that played him. Rest in peace. I really enjoyed this painting of Captain America. Why? Is because his suit looks so metallic. The fact that he was able to accomplish that look and that feel that the suit looks very metallic, I thought this is just fascinating. And on page 36, you have this image. And so, I don't know, I got some very Steve Rude Nexus vibes from this image. A lot of beautiful images of Spider-Man and Venom and Spider-Man in general. But on page 42, this is probably my favorite Spider-Man of the whole book. And we can see why. It's all those lines that are coming inward to the center, and this very dynamic image of his suit, yet he keeps these very lean and long sort of limbs. It's very interesting how he's able to accomplish that. how David Finch is able to accomplish this, that we understand that Spider-Man is obviously young and lean and long, and yet we get this very cool dynamic picture. Also, the shape of the bottom of the foot, that's pretty cool. I mean, it just stands out. And all the detail of the rocks and the explosion of him bursting through whatever he's bursting through. Just a very powerful image. It works, you know? And leaving the foot fairly empty and void of like a lot of lines, it's perfect. So this image of the girl in the drawing, I thought that was super beautiful. I just really liked the way he did his dragon, in that it had this serpent-like neck with spines on the back. I really enjoyed that. This pose is very powerful. So when it comes to composition on this one, I think that this composition is exceptional. You know, you have the wings of the dragon, you have the girl in the center, even the way her body's positioned, the sword, and then you have like the long of the sword, and then the swooping neck of the dragon and his swooping tongue and the viciousness about it. Super, super genius the way it was laid out. On page 62, this just gave me massive Frazetta vibes. You know, Frazetta tended to use muted tones and just pops of color here and there. So the color scheme is not Frazetta, but just something about this triangular composition and how the girl is sitting and the guy above her is just very, it reminds me of Frazetta's compositions a lot. And David Finch had told me that Frazetta was one of his big inspirations, actually. So it definitely inspired him. But then again, it's kind of fair to say Frazetta inspired everyone. You know what I'm saying? On page 66, we have a rough sketch. And then on page 67, we have the finished sketch. This is one that's worth to have a copy around. And this is a good reason why I keep this in my anatomy section. To see all the putrefying flesh, to see the muscle definition underneath the body, to see I mean, just this horrific zombie scene where it looks like they're eating someone. It's just horrifying and yet very, very beautiful. So gross and so cool. I just can't stop looking at it. And one thing I noticed is that there's like a gradient where it goes to like bright white and then to way more darker tones at the bottom. It's like a light to dark situation. Here, even from the left to the right of the page, just gorgeous, gorgeous consideration taken to visual weight. It's such a balanced visual weight, in my opinion. It just looks so stable of an image. Just so exceptional. And at the end, I like that he put his books of the week. And I just realized now he actually recommended Bridgman's Complete Guide to Drawing Life. I think I have that one. Very, very cool. And at the end, there's some illustrations by Eric Grove, who painted these on the live Monday Night Draw. I just wanted to say that this color choice is so nice. I'll put it there, but the color choice of that bright, sunsetty, peachy with that green, and then into these muted green tones and brown tones, I just thought that was such a great color choice. So eye-popping with the red eyes. It's really, really dope. So, and that's it. So good. If you guys like comic books, if you guys like illustrations, or if you just want to have something that's an interesting conversation piece on your coffee table, this is a great book for that. I cannot wait because they say it's season 1, so I cannot wait for season 2. Maybe that's a clue that there will be a season 2. It's interesting to see the choices that artists make and to see why they might make them. I love hearing David Finch talk, and one thing that I love about David Finch is that instead of just talking about himself and what he likes, he talks about other artists and introduces you to different types of art, and he opens your mind to what could be out there. So if you are someone who just likes seeing people draw, or if you want to be an artist, it actually expands your horizons. I really recommend that channel just for anyone who's interested in that sort of thing. I'll put the link down below. Definitely pick this up. This book definitely gets 5 stars. Probably one of my favorite books in my current book collection of many hundreds of books. So, I mean, this is just a gorgeous, gorgeous, these are just gorgeous prints. Definitely pick this up. As you guys can see, I have plenty of books that the authors were there at Phoenix Fan Fusion, and I will be reviewing all those books here on this channel coming up in this month, so it's going to be very exciting for that. And coming up soon, we will have The Art of Prophecy by Wesley Chu, which is up there, also a signed copy. One of the more imaginative fantasy series that I've seen in a long time. It is a fantasy novel set in more of a medieval Asian setting, so it's very unique, very interesting, and very funny and fun. So I can't wait to get that one up as soon as possible. And also Kraken, Proxies, and Unanswered Questions. All these things are coming soon, along with a few more that I actually don't have physical copies of, but I have on my Kindle. This was $18. The Dunkin' Donuts blueberry muffin one goes for about $7 or $8. So I have not tried that one. I don't know how comparable it is to this, but one thing I will say about this company, their coffee is some of the best ground coffee you're going to get on the shelf. Now, for someone like me who will spend $4 or $5 on an iced coffee from Dunkin' Donuts or Tim Hortons or wherever, I do tend to think their coffee is a little better than the one I make at home. With that being said, this is just as good, or if not better, than what you would get at a coffee house. So when I paid the $18, I tried to rationalize more like, I'm paying $5 on a cup of coffee. This I will probably be able to get at least 8 cups of coffee out of 10. You know what I'm saying? So if not much more. And that being said, you know, $50 is definitely way more than 18. So instead of going out to a coffee house, getting this and drinking this at home is not a bad option because it is such quality coffee. This is something that I will probably keep in my fridge just to try to keep it a little bit fresher, but this is definitely a coffee you can possibly drink every day, not get bored of it. It is very blueberry, they do put some cinnamon in here, so it definitely tastes like a blueberry muffin, and it is just really refreshing, makes the whole house fragrant, and definitely wakes you up in the morning. So yeah, I don't know if it's one of those that has the 300 milligrams of caffeine or whatever, but I can say that as I've been drinking my drink, I haven't had my heart racing or anything like that. So I don't think it is. I think it's just part of that brand's product line. I really enjoy that even without sugar, it's so flavorful. If I would pair anything with that, I'd probably pair some brown sugar with it. And you can do regular sugar, but I think brown sugar would just give it a little bit more of a kick in the right direction, along with the oat milk. It was super good. So that also gets 5 stars because even though it is a bit pricey, it is still worth the money. So very good. Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. It was super fun. And I want to say a big thank you to everyone who was at Phoenix Fan Fusion. I will be mentioning you guys soon. Coming up on Friday, I will be doing a best of from Phoenix Fan Fusion, so that will be fun. And also, I just want to give an apology to David Finch. This video was supposed to be up a lot sooner, but it wasn't up because I was having a lot of issues with my internet. It took me about 2 days to get about 42% of a video up, so I just had to wait till I came home. I deleted YouTube and redid my whole phone, cleaned a bunch of stuff out to figure out what was going on, and hopefully this video uploads a little bit faster. But thank you guys so much, and just thank you to the artist for making such great work that we can all enjoy and talk about with each other in the YouTube community. So I wish you guys a wonderful evening. I am going to continue to enjoy my coffee. I look forward to sipping a beverage and getting into a new story with you soon. Take care.